the Free People were full of excitement and exuberance about that football game, not because they're Patriots fans or Falcon fans, but what they kept getting excited about was what that game shows us about the two energy systems that are always available for us to choose from. They like to show me the Falcons team is such an enthusiastic young team that's full of vim and vigor and excitement and joy and the highs and lows. You know, we watched that team start off, the first quarter of that football game in such disbelief of like, wow, we are doing this. And that feeling continued, all the way through into the second half of the game. And then when things began to unravel a little bit, that same exuberant energy started to turn into its equivalent in the feeling of fear. So that high took its other expression as a dip. And while there's nothing wrong with that, nothing went wrong. It's not like that team messed up. Like when I see the reports that, the Falcons threw away the lead, the Free People are always saying they didn't throw anything away. They're teachers, and they were helping all of us to see how if we create an imbalance always is seeking balance. So if I take myself up really high, my inner stasis wants to come back to some form of balance. So it will often take me down low so that I can return to the middle somewhere. And the Free People kept showing me. So what happened to me that night, I go to bed kind of early. So I watched the first half of the game and I watched the halftime show with Lady Gaga. I enjoyed all of it. And my son, who's 14, was very upset because the Patriots were losing at that point 28-3. He was extremely upset. And I said to him, because the Free People were watching it with me, I said to him, I'm going to go to bed now, but you're going to see the greatest comeback in Super Bowl history, because I was hearing what they were saying was this is just a beautiful illustration of how to manage these two nervous systems that they've been talking about. So they were basically saying that the whole training system that the New England Patriots have been engaged in for years, not just this year, but for years, has been holding your center. And, their motto of do your job, it's just like a layman's way of saying, stay in that restore and relax nervous system so that you're always available to opportunities. So what unfolded, because the Patriots stayed in that centered space. At halftime, their coach, Bill Belichick, apparently gave the most uninspired halftime speech ever given by any NFL coach. What he said was, everything that we did in the first quarter and the second quarter, you're going to do in the third quarter and the fourth quarter. Don't change anything. Just do what you do. So the Free People said, when I was going to bed, they were like, well, what the Patriots are doing is they're staying centered. Therefore, all of the energies around them as they go up and they go down, they're just following this straight, direct line. And what happens when we are centered is that strange miraculous, lucky, weird things, or we call them synchronicities, occur because we are creating a space in which they can occur. And so the strangest things happened in that game toward the end as the Falcon team was displaying the other end of their energetic spectrum. It was the same energy, it was just the other end of that spectrum. And the Patriot team was simply following this straight, simple philosophy to its logical conclusion. And it doesn't mean that you always win. But what it means is that when we choose to stay with that restore, relax, calm nervous system, what it means is that we are always in a position to receive the support, to receive the signals from the universe that we're on the right track. We end feeling nourished instead of depleted. It doesn't matter if we quote unquote win or not. We feel connected to our center, to our truth, and to our beingness. And our beingness is where all original, creative magnificence comes from. So when we stick with that, even if we don't get first prize, even if we don't win, we win because we feel nourished from the inside out. And if it doesn't manifest at that time, it carries us into the next project or the next game or the next person that we happen to, become friends with, whatever the situation is. And so the Free People were so, they were kind of gloating like, haha, we knew what was going to happen. But they were just really excited that a team that's so well known is using the philosophy that they're really interested in, all of us understanding the power of that, the simplicity of just staying with who you are. Don't try to get complicated. Be yourself. You don't have to be fancy. If you just are listening to yourself, then you're going to see the way through, and the way through will be shown to you no matter what it looks like on the outside. So it was really amazing. I didn't know. I was like, oh my God, this is a disaster. But the Free People were like, no, you're going to have the biggest comeback in the history of the NFL, which is what I told to Tripp. And lo and behold, it's amazing. So that's what the Free People have to say for this week.